Yes, yes, yes. We are back for another open court discussion live in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor, and joining me is my co host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Ow!
He only got a little extra something for y'all tonight. um, I am not going to get into the spill about this past Monday's show, but if you are interested, check out the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. We're going to dive right into tonight, September 2nd, 9 p.m. EST, a very heartfelt and timely topic: brotherhood. After finding out of the passing of one of my beloved brothers, Brother Keith Muhammad, we need to talk brotherhood. Keith, a father, brother, an educator of youth, a trailblazer, a former athlete and sports fanatic. Keith dedicated his life to community work involving youth and making our hometown city, Niagara Falls, a safer place. Keith made his mark and touched so many lives with his huge personality, often direct, and the man had a lot of opinions, but never lost for words. Keith, you will remain in our hearts forever. Love you, brother. So, brotherhood, a powerful force that shapes our lives and our communities. From the suites to the streets, from the locker room to the boardroom, brotherhood is the thread that weaves together men from all walks of life.
Mhm.
It's a bond built on trust, loyalty, and mutual respect. Join us tonight. And if feel free, if you want to come on in and drop a testimony about Keith Muhammad and what his brotherhood meant to you. Sorry, we here. Um, well, before that, we're sitting at what else we got? We're sitting at I think 907 subs. So we did crack the 900 mark finally. So on to the next 1,000. Once you hit 1,000, that's when you can start, you know, trying to make other moves. Um, so please like and share, subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor, and that's it. We about to chop it up and have a good show about brotherhood. But first, before I get going, shout out to the sister friends, the Virgos in the house. I know they celebrating. Tanyetta, Tasha, and her crew. You know, I've been giving them some slack about Virgos, and the September, born in September. I kind of have a theory on that. That looking at the time frame, that they had to be someone that was conceived out of cuffing season. Uh, I'm just saying the time frame: December, January, 9 months later, or by one of the W two boys. The guys that sit around wait on women's W twos, or the income tax sniper. So you take your pick. I'm sorry, mom, you had two kids that was born in September, but that's just my theory. Don't mind me though. Got Omega Supreme. Thanks for joining us tonight. Our thoughts are with you, brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. This is, um, this one hits different. It really does. I woke up. What was it? Saturday afternoon. No, Saturday morning. Whatever it was, afternoon, late morning, afternoon, and I saw how Kasim had posted, and it was, and there's a, because we've been through this before. You and I have. We've lost people along the way. My mother and sister, you, some relatives, and they each open the door to a different window in our lives, to a different time. And And with this particular one, as you mentioned, you know, he, his branches, they provided shade, warmth for so many people across so many different avenues that it's almost impossible to put into words how far those branches reached out. And and I wrote something regarding how that comes out in life. Um, you know, Literally larger than life. I mean, I can remember some of the discussions we had on the bus coming home from football practice, basketball. Even up until when I was with the mentoring program. And he was always there. And we never lacked for an opinion, but it was always respectful. And that's the one thing. No matter what, you can have an argument, shake your hand, hug you, dap you up, and y'all come back together just like nothing ever happened. And I think that's what a lot of people don't get to see. Now, whether that's because it happens out of earshot of the average person, or not everybody's predicated to that. I mean, and I look at my own family in terms of the term brotherhood. Uh, Next week we're going on a fishing trip. Most of the brothers will be there, and we range in age from 66 on down to the youngest at 50. You know, and they always blowing up the phone with text messages and jokes. So I'm fortunate in that regard, to have that kind of family. But outside of that, there's an extended brotherhood that I feel when I get on the Facebook, social media. I message some cats like Gavin, even though Gavin's originally from Brooklyn. He's across the country in Los Angeles. Him and I talk often. There's another gentleman, Greg Hooper. I always call him Hopper. Greg Hooper, who who's an older Caucasian male. Him and I used to have conversations. Speaking of the devil, him and I used to have conversations about a lot of things. And I was just speaking about this before we came live. Shout out to BGS, the work that he does and bringing brothers together. He had a gentleman that called in a couple nights ago that appeared on the live stream a couple nights ago, and he's giving us testimony to him in his thanks, saying how he had helped them out with the situation he was having with the mother of his child, that he couldn't get her to relinquish custody and give them to him. Now, this was 10 years ago. 3 or 4 days ago, he sent his son, who's now a young man, on his way to be a professional athlete. He said he couldn't have did that without BGS and made his man, who also similar to Keith, Kevin Samuels, which a lot of people didn't like. He said he couldn't have achieved that without BGS and Kevin Samuels digging in his ass, telling him, look, you got to stay to fight. You have to stay 10 toes down. You have to see this through because your son's future hangs in the balance. We get a lot of people that demonize red pill content creators without knowing anything about them or anything that they do offline or off air. So you don't know who these brothers are speaking to. You don't know what these brothers are going through. And sometimes you don't know where the solace is that these brothers seek. I've said often that I use this platform for my mental health. And I mean that. I really do. Because when my mother died, it was tough. But when my sister died, it was really tough. This, for me, allows me to heal. It allows me to maintain some sanity sometimes when it's insane outside. Even though David and I don't necessarily talk off air, when we do converse here, it's like we come together through this medium and everybody else we talk to. So people don't see how we especially women, and women say men don't show their feelings, men aren't emotional. We are. You just don't understand it the way we do. So when we tell these stories about our past, we're bonding, but it's a different way. We don't necessarily get emotional to the point where women do. And I think this is what a lot of people need to understand when we talk about brotherhood. Because when we say brotherhood, sometimes the brotherhood acknowledges each other just like this. That's it. It's an acknowledgement that I see you. You doing well. You look okay. You need something, let me know. And that single gesture between black men and those who understand, nothing else needs to be communicated. So there's it's a network, and it's kind of like the Underground Railroad. It's a network for those who know about it, and if you don't know about it, there's no network. But trust me, that term brotherhood, it extends thousands of miles in places that most people haven't visited. And we hope they don't have to visit, because sometimes the only time people visit the brotherhood is when they're up against the wall, where they have nowhere else to turn. So we want people to understand that, yes, that's one situation where the brotherhood supports. But we also support in good times when we come together for the Super Bowl or sporting events, boxing. That's the brotherhood. When we come together to do fundraising or support each other through events, that's the brotherhood. So there are all types of examples of the brotherhood being exemplified. But like I said, if you don't know what to look for, you won't see them.
Let me chime in, then I'll give Gavin an opportunity. So with Keith, we go back a long time. North Avenue days when they, came on the circuit of North Avenue. And I know their brother Courtney was younger, so it was mainly we see Keith, Chris. They came on kind of blazing fire, uh, talking crap. I was a few years older, so uh, I kind of, end up becoming like a big brother to them. But they definitely, never lacked for words, never lacked for confidence in anything, sports, um, education, just overall. So, throughout the years, just seeing, Keith grow and blossom, was an amazing thing. And when I said in the introduction that he, was a trailblazer, because he was someone who was always thinking about creating a vision. And, I remember the reunion game between Niagara Falls High School and LaSalle. And anybody from Niagara Falls know that rivalry was a heat up. That was a Friday night special, and it had the city jumping. During that time, but Keith had that vision to bring the old heads back together to play, and I had gained weight, was only a shell of myself, so I really wasn't, um, that into it, like knowing that wasn't going to really go out there and put out work. But then I think Keith called me and said, "Yo, you got nominated to coach." I said, "What?" And then he's like, "Yo, they all voted on it, and they wanted you to coach." And then I'm like, "Sure, why me?" But I couldn't kind of understood from my 1988 team that I was kind of the voice of the team. So I knew it had to be a few people who like, oh, David, he was always like the voice in our locker room, even before Coach Monty would say what he had to say during the timeout. I probably already had said what was going on. So I was kind of honored that what we call the selective few that got nominated for the varsity and JV game wanted me to coach. So that spoke volumes. But that was just one of the things. Keith, I remember him and Billy had the young guys learning how to make money selling chocolate, and just his brotherhood growing up, in the Nation of Islam. So when I got that news, when my brother Dietrich called me at 7 in the morning, I knew it was something. It's just you get a phone call that early. Uh, now, uh, typically, I probably would have been ready to cuss him out, like, dude, what the hell you calling me for this early? But I knew in his voice that something wasn't right, and in my small glimmer of hopes, I was hoping this. He said, "Oh, we inherited this money, man," or whatever the case is. But I knew that wasn't it. And when he told me it was Keith, I was definitely down that whole day and just was in disbelief because I might have not never told any of them that, but the nation was so strong and their brotherhood was so strong together. I always thought that they can overcome anything and would
Yeah.
be invincible to anything. So they're just like, wow. Because normally, I've lost friends, but I lost friends because of their choices,
Hmm.
maybe being on drugs or
Hmm.
something like that. But Keith was clean, and it's just unfortunate. And you know, I don't even want to get too emotional, so I'm probably going to pass the mic up. But it's it's heartbreaking, and I'll talk more throughout. But man, maybe God, may God be with him and his family and everybody that's suffering because it's a tremendous loss. Even just his back and forth, just to troll and get under people's skin and
Hmm.
say some stuff, and you were like, "Dude, stop, dude." But he knew how to get under people's skin and kind of provoke a good conversation.
Yeah.
So, uh, I always appreciated that. So, man, no matter what spirit gonna live within us, and man, it was an honor being a part of his life. We just got to push forward and just everybody just has to step up because it's gonna be a huge absence
Hmm.
without his presence. So, and I'll talk more as we go on. All right, we got Dr. Anwar. He said Red Arbeck Glover. That would be me. Uh, what's going on, Robert? How you doing? Thanks for joining us. Gavin,
Yes.
was good. Got anything you want to add to Brotherhood? Did you know did Gavin know Keith Mohammed?
No, I don't
No.
believe so. Yeah,
Okay,
you
but
don't
he
have.
might
He
just
doesn't have to
speak
offer
on
a personal testimony about Keith.
he could
The
speak to
larger.
Brotherhood.
Yes.
Uh, Brotherhood. I have my own with you gentlemen, and then here in Los Angeles, I have many men, black men, who keep me up. We keep each other up. One being from doing security. I still do security, but at one point I used to work armed, and the deputy post commander was a brother from Chicago who moved out here when he was a kid, of course, named Big Will, and I still talk to him to this day. And we talk to each other, keep each other up, and just that kind of thing. And there's two other gentlemen who I now train with on the weekends when I'm off for work in martial arts. And one is the chief instructor and the senior instructor. And it's because of things happening here in LA with transit population that are attacking people. It's getting more violent now, particularly the MTA bus drivers and train operators. So I don't drive. I take the metro to work. And one time I brought up to them because I haven't trained with them in years. I let them know about my concern and can I come back to train again? They said, we were wondering when you going to call. And and they just basically, one owns real estate. So he is self employed. And I go train at his house in evenings on Saturdays. And the other one, he does security like me, but he is the graveyard supervisor at his with his company at his post. So when he gets up Saturday mornings, it's 7 in the morning. If he doesn't have to hold over, if he has
Mhm.
to hold over, and that's it. But long story short, what they're training me to do is really it's not for a belt. It's like, hey, should that situation pop off, I gotta be able to handle someone who's under the influence and that nature. It's that serious. And that's my brotherhood that I have out here.
Okay. Yeah, and again, like when you think of brotherhood, it's keywords that I have mentioned in the introduction about loyalty, trust, mutual respect, empathy, understanding, and it's a lot. And one of the things when you have stronger brotherhood, you have stronger communities. So that was one of the things that I was connect Keith, the Nation of Islam, to to Niagara Falls. That even as their older brother, we would have jokes, but we knew that they were young soldiers that they were real respected, and people would give them a hard time because they'd be on the corner selling the final cause, the bean pies and different things, but it the streets was safer then. Uh, no one ever came and hustled or did anything or marked any territory that where they were located. They kept it moving, and and that's just respect. And I can remember this story. My sister and her crew got into it with with a girl, and so the girl's brother was probably about 6'6", over 300 some pounds, and so they thought like, okay, it's about to get wild. But then once my brother showed up and the rest of the Niagara Falls crew from the Nation of Islam, all of a
Crew.
sudden you had
Yeah.
the thugs or the wannabe thugs in Niagara Falls ass wanted to clarify, yo, we ain't got nothing to do with that. We ain't got nothing. Oh, here come them brothers. We ain't got nothing to do with that. And their presence demanded respect, and they had
Yeah. Hmm.
people shook.
Hmm.
Now, for them listening, Carlos, Chris, them, don't get it twisted. Y'all know I would have laid some leather on y'all, but but no. As a unit, they function well. They was disciplined, and they were just streets. It was safer during those times, and especially if they had to secure somewhere, it was always safer. And I think that's one of the things that unfortunately Niagara Falls is missing. That presence of how it was back in the days, and these kids is just running amok when they wouldn't have been doing all that they're doing now. Back in the days, and I know people's like, oh, these kids don't fear nothing. They don't fear because they haven't had no man that checked them, old school and things of that nature. So it's a different time now, but they just they wouldn't have been ready for our days.
And you,
Exactly.
and you know, to follow that up, I remember, I can distinctly remember this day. You know, and I wish I'd have known then what I know now. We were coming home from football practice, and I believe uh, Keith was definitely on the bus, and I believe Omega Supreme. And for people who don't know who Omega Supreme is, that's his twin brother. So I just want to make that out there. Um, I was playing Brand Nubians on the bus, and I was our version, at least in our crew of Radio Raheem. And they called me on it. They said, "You don't know what Nubians is?" I said, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And they called me on it, and I was wrong. They would never, either one of them, and the group, as a matter of fact, I remember, when they started out in the Nation of Islam, as Fruits, and and like and like David is saying, where them brothers step, it was always respect, it was always peace, it was always calm, because not only did they back each other, you know, to that extent, they always had the brotherhood standing behind them. For those of us in this age demographic, we saw the movie Revenge of the Nerves, and we saw, even though it was fictionalized, we saw what the brotherhood then was capable of just by their presence. And that's what they brought, and they still do now. You know, you got cats that's not gonna say a sideways word to them, and that's because of the respect factor, and that's partially what Dave was talking about. You know, these younger cats, they don't have that, and I don't know if there's necessarily a way to bring that back. I know I don't spend nearly as much time, in pockets and places where the youth are, and that's mainly due because I work midnight, so my schedule is all different. When they out about, especially in the summer, I'm busy either working out or doing some other stuff. Then I haven't taken that necessary time, and I think this situation actually merits that those of us who can, and this has nothing. I want to make sure that people understand what I'm saying. This has nothing to do with single raised boys. This has everything to do with trying to redirect those who need direction so they don't go off and get themselves in trouble. It's like Wu Tang said, it's all about the children. So I don't know if those of us who can will. I think this is a wake up call, you know, for at least those of us who can get back out there, you know, save the ones who want to be saved. Not all of these kids are going to want to be saved. Some of these kids, they got their minds made up, that they're going to do what they're going to do, regardless of what anyone tells them. You can't save them. But the ones that are willing to listen, the ones that will give you their ear, the ones that'll sit down and listen to you talk for 10 to 15 minutes, those are the ones that are showing an interest. Those are the ones we need to try and save. And that's also another aspect of the brotherhood. When we were coming up, we had the Niagara Community Center, the 17th Street Boys Club, and as Omega Supreme said, 13th Street. That was the east side. So we were forming a brotherhood when we were teens. Biddy basketball, cataract football. I played out in Lacelle, for the Rockers and the Moose Bulls, all those things, even up and through Lacelle football. See, that's the brotherhood. People have no idea what just happened, but that's the brother. I'll explain that in a minute, people. But see, that's the brotherhood, and all of those things helped us become what we are now. Now, what David is talking about is there's a crosstown rivalry that that God, going back almost 50 years now, man. Jeez. Where Cataract, the other football team that was downtown, played against the ones that were out in Lake Sub, which is where I live. And for the old school heads, shout out to the old school heads that lived in Griffin Manor. And 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 you played against each other. You always talk trash. Even at a younger age, we talk trash. But that was part of the fabric. And like David said, that transitioned into basketball and it transitioned into football. You know, even though football in the city was never as big as basketball because of the rivalries, but man, during the school year, it was on. It was on. We don't like them Niagara Falls High School, man. Y'all got it. But it was done with the respect element because once you put them pads up, once you put them cleats up, once the basketball started dribbling, we were all crew. Some of the cats who got involved in breakdancing, they would battle each other. But it was never animosity to the point where you wanted to hurt somebody. It was always who's better. Push them. Well, you can't beat such and such. Well, we gonna see next time we battle. And that's what made us grow into the people we are now. So if we were to see somebody who went to high school, it might be good natured fun. They'd be like, yo, man, I need a hand. What you need? How can I help you? And I think people underestimate how that bond permeates a whole lot of things. There's nobody I know that our age You know, if we needed a hand for something and it was put on Facebook, that you wouldn't get some volunteers, that you wouldn't get somebody that was either trying to help you or get somebody that wanted to help you or is going to point you in the direction of where you can get some help. That was the community that we came from back then. Everybody was willing to pitch in. We may not be able to get it done by ourselves, but you know what? I got a couple people I can call. I got a phone call I can make. I know somebody that might be able to help you out. And I experienced this, when I ran for public office, there were people that donated that I didn't otherwise think was going to donate. And shout out to those people. I had people that gave me information that did things for me that I didn't know would get done. And these people, they breached the color line, if you will, our ethnicity. So I'm always grateful for the brotherhood that I have, and you know, it it never stops. And anybody that thinks the brotherhood stops because they don't see it, like I said earlier, then you don't know where to look. We see it on Facebook all the time. Brothers out here building platforms, whether it's YouTube like we're doing now, and I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to all those who have subbed to us this far and who will continue to sub. As they say, when you perform or when an entertainer performs, they need something to play, or in this case, speak about, someone to listen, and someone to play with. You guys have provided us somebody to talk to. So we'll be certainly I would not believe I might be speaking for Dave as well. We will be eternally grateful for those of you who listen now, who continue to listen, and who will listen in the future. You know, we do this for a variety of reasons. Like I said, for me, it's therapeutic. I know every Monday at 9 o'clock, even during football season, y'all know how I'm about my football. We get up and we bring this to y'all, but y'all allow us to come into your life. So we are eternally blessed. That's another extension of the brotherhood, because it's just not women who listen to this, it's men too.
Yeah, and speaking of, a lot of times people may not watch it, the live broadcast, and that's why when you're able to have access to do the clips, um, that's it's a snapshot of some of the key points during the broadcast, and you just never know which ones is going, hit or whatever the case is. Prime example, Herb. I don't know if you've seen it on YouTube. The clip, I think, when you said about what's her name, Simone Biles, who
Yes.
said she needed a mother. When I went to sleep, I posted that. Before I went to sleep, I posted it. I woke up the next morning, it was like 3,000 something views on YouTube, and
Oh no, I
and
didn't
I,
see that. No.
I was like, wow. I was like, so it's certain things you just never know that's going, hit. And but again, we just put this information out there, and we never claim to be experts or anything like that. But I believe that these conversations need to be had in some way or another, and it doesn't need to be had, but with your same circle of people all the
Mm-hmm.
time. Sometimes you need opinions from outside or someone with a vast array of different experiences to help you grow. And I think that's the bottom line. And I think, again, as I tie everything back to Keith, I think that was one of his missions, that he would want to reach out to folks, fundraise, and he wanted the youth to be able to grow and for them to have opportunities. Sometimes I would give him slack, and he would ask for a donation. I was like, "Yo, where's their parents?" And then you're like, "They not trying to do anything, whatever." So then I would, you know, donate what I could at the time, and but I understood what he wanted them to have better. He wanted them to have confidence. He wanted them to be able to get trophies and awards at the end, because
Yeah.
that type of stuff builds character. It builds confidence. And I could take it back to a story. I probably spoke on this before when I played for the boys club. Uh, Now, I wasn't even the leading scorer on the team. I probably was like the third leading scorer. But then when it was time for the our little award ceremony, uh, shout out to Knuckles. he gave me MVP. And I'm like, what? Like, uh, I wanted to give it to my cousin Ron because I think Ronnie Oates, I think he was the leading scorer on the team. He probably was gunning and shit, whatever. But I probably had a better field goal percentage. But anyways, he gave it to him, and I was ready to hand it over uh, to Ron. And Knuckles said, which he's one of the brothers, community leaders
Mm.
that got a lot of us on the right path, taught us about life growing up. Without him, I mean, I went to him a lot of times, as a youngster. So he, pulled me to the side, David. He said, "You know why you got the MVP, right?" And I was like, "No," because my knowledge of it was leading scorer and stuff like that. He said, "You were one of the most respectful people on the team. You always came to practice on time. You never gave me any lip, and you were like the model citizen on the team." So he's basically saying you were like the glue to the team, and he's like, so therefore, don't talk about giving this trophy to anyone else. You earned it, and I was like, wow, that's the only MVP trophy I ever got in sports. I think one time I got most improved defensive player. Think in cataract football, but also I understand some of the politics and those things too. As far as brotherhood, fatherhood, that if you had an active father out there, you probably would have he would have influence on some of the positions you played. Unfortunately, I didn't have that. So I was like, just me trying to use my talents to try to and trust me, I was talented because I played with as far as the brother, a lot of older guys on North Avenue that made their mark in sports, like Vinnie Smith, the Sam Porters, the William Porters, and those players that were good athletes that we kind of learned from. So shout out to them for their brotherhood and helping instill working on our craft and just trying to make us improve on certain things.
Yeah, you mentioned Knuckles and Knuckles, Garth Ellis, Michael Thompson, all of those, all of those men. You know, they were for a lot of us de facto fathers. They helped us. When we didn't have anybody, and I don't know if I told my dropout story. When I dropped out of LaSalle, I got into a situation. I was like, I don't need school, so I would. Oddly enough, where I live now is literally a block away from the community center that I played in as a kid. Hours upon hundreds of hours in that building, and I remember going in and God was like, "Oh, you can't come here." And I said, "Why?" He said, "This place is for students only." Because word had got around, I wasn't going to school.
Mm.
Now I said, "Shoot," I said, I can't be on the streets. All my peoples are there. 16, 17. What did I really know about life and about education? So I re-enrolled, that following semester and that following year rather semester. And that's when they allowed me back in there. And I went on to graduate. And that's an extension of the brotherhood. The young keeping I'm sorry, the old keeping the young on that path, on that straight and narrow. Not that I was ever actually a knucklehead, but even us who aren't knuckleheads still need to have a pat on the shoulder and say, hey, you're going down the wrong path. Stay doing what you're doing. It'll benefit you in the long run. Because we don't have that ability to have foresight when we're that young. It just doesn't exist. So for those of us who don't have fathers or didn't have fathers, like I said, Knuckles, Michael, they were the fathers. When we came into those buildings, whether it was 17th Street, 13th Street, and Phil Ivy's another one. For the older cats, they kept us in line and said, "Hey, man, you're not gonna come in here and disrespect this building. You're gonna come in here You're gonna keep the profanity down, and or you're not gonna use that dog. You're gonna abide by the rules, and you're gonna do right. So I mean, and I publicly try to acknowledge those brothers as often as I can. And for me being a foster child, um, my network in terms of people who have helped me to get to where I am to this very day, it is extensive, and I am always always eternally grateful for you know that that aspect of the brotherhood that has helped me get to where I am right now.
But hold on. Who is Phil Ivy? Is y'all talking about Pete Ivy or
I'm
somebody
sorry,
named Phil
Pete
Ivy?
Ivy. I'm sorry, Pete Ivy.
I
Thank
was
you,
like,
David.
I
We
was
always
like,
used to
who's
call
Phil
him Mr.
Ivy?
Ivy, yeah, but man,
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at it like this. Downtown, downtown Niagara Falls in the mid '80s, there was not a young black boy who didn't know one of those three dudes. They're just they're I'm sorry, one of those four. There just wasn't. Midtown, you got Knuckles. On 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 the Highland Avenue side, there was Pete. Over here, you had Mike, Garth, and then there was another gentleman named Gary. I forgot about Gary. So you didn't pass through without knowing one of them. Because a lot of us, even if we weren't good enough, we played basketball. Now we may not have got to run, and especially as you got up in a grade level and you wanted to try out for JV and varsity, you had to be the cream of the crop to make those squads because you even the bench players were good. You just and I know you gonna comment on this. You just couldn't walk on there and play. You had to play. Even the Caucasian cats, they played. Dennis, shout out to Dennis Pisniak. Dennis, hey, say what you want
Piz
to
was
about
real. He was a baller. Piz.
man. I remember, and I didn't care much for watching high school play, but when Christian Laettner would come to town and they played against high school, I'm sitting right there. They used to give each other buckets, and that was must see TV. And we're talking about when these boys was in high school giving each other buckets. So I mean, that brotherhood goes back a long way for us in Niagara Falls in that particular area.
All right, we got Dr. Anwar on here. I know you shout out to you for the completion of the part one of your book where I know you had similar topics going on in regards to your book about this brotherhood or mentorship or sports in general. So go ahead and talk that talk.
All right. First of all, congratulations to you for you hit 900, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right. Congratulations to you guys. This is not easy. It looks like all fun and games to people out in the peanut gallery, but it is not easy. So congratulations to hitting that milestone. Thank
Appreciate
you, David. Man, this is hard work, man. And this is hard work. When you're an artist and you make something. See, the thing with self-publishing is that maybe I shouldn't say this, but on Amazon KDP, as the author, you can keep making edits to your book even after it's published. And I learned in a writing class. Remember, a professor, our teacher told us that when you write a book, David, you might be able to confirm this. You get to this end point where you keep making changes, and at some point you just have to let it go. You just
yeah,
have to stop.
yeah,
And but you also there's a balance there because you want to make sure all the errors are out and as many of the errors is out. And my book is a little meaty. So I looked at the proofs, I found some things, and you could just develop this level of paranoia um trying to get the thing perfect. So it's been a journey. It's an ongoing journey. You get to the point where you publish it, you officially publish it, then you have to figure out how to market it, how to sell it. I mean, you think about some of that beforehand, but once it's live and you start making announcements, that's when that's when you switch over into the entrepreneur phase. So, but thank you, thank you, David, for your help with that. You did write the foreword for part one, and I was thinking, since we're in the same metro area, we can actually meet up, and I can bring you your copy because I just ordered all my author copies. Well, I ordered my first batch of author copies, and I could actually bring it to you as opposed to shipping it. But we could talk offline about that.
Okay, sounds good.
Brotherhood. I'm gonna be brief. I gotta go lay it out in a minute. Y'all be hanging. Couple of things I'll say about this. Brotherhood, it matters a whole lot, especially as men. It's important. I don't know that we talk the way that women talk.
Mhm.
I don't want to make this a gender thing, but it's my dad used to always say, whenever he would go to social functions, all the all the women would be huddled up sharing notes about what's happening in the room and who's doing what. And even now, when you go to social functions, whether it's you're at a restaurant or at a party, you see the women that go to the bathroom together.
Mhm.
And I don't know, a lot of us tend to be lone wolves. I know me and my brother, we don't talk probably as much as we should. He's a little meticulous about his time. So there are times when he says, well, this could be communicated through text, but texting is not the same thing as talking. Sometimes you need to
Yeah.
talk. Sometimes you need to
Yeah.
talk to your brother or your best friend. And I don't know. I think as men, we just don't. Sometimes, especially as we get older, we don't always talk enough, and there's value in talking. Speaking of LaSalle, you guys, it's funny you guys refer to it that way. It's LaSalle. In Buffalo, we call you guys LaSalle.
Yeah.
LaSalle, the basketball team, and that's covered to some degree in my book. One of the secrets to LaSalle being so dominant was the brotherhood component. Okay, unlike Buffalo, and this was confirmed in 4 interviews, actually four or five. Modi, Carlos,
Mhm.
Fat
Mhm.
Chat, and
Mhm.
Coach Monty.
Mhm.
Niagara Falls was it's a smaller radius than Buffalo, so
Yeah.
all the players were playing at the the the, the boys club and the YMCA and this
Mhm.
center and that center. So everybody knew everybody. So
Mhm.
everybody was playing together, and that camaraderie started early for you guys, for the Niagara Falls basketball community. That started young, and Carlos said this in our interview, and that's that it means a lot if the players on the team like each other.
Oh yeah.
Okay, he said, yeah, we were at each other's houses playing Sega Genesis and playing Nintendo, and it just that's a cheat code for athletics, and that's that the players liking each other because when they like each other, they're more likely to play their roles, they're more likely to sacrifice for one another, they're more likely to take the ego out of it. Versus if you're on a team where the guys don't like each other, they don't hang out, they don't talk, there's going to be a level of dysfunctionality there. And so I'm going to give this away. My favorite team on my favorite year on our basketball team at Hutch Tech was my first year. I didn't play a lot, but there was a togetherness and there was a brotherhood on that team that eventually got lost. Okay. And I know that for me, I wanted to be a part of something. And that, when I write in the book about that first year on the team, again, I didn't play much, but there was a togetherness and a cohesiveness that that held everything together, and that made everybody feel welcome. And you don't have that with every group
Mhm.
because not everybody has those values, and not everybody has that essence. Some people are for self. Some people, uh, uh, whether you're talking about athletics or you're talking about working in a federal agency, some people have a bullying, um, controlling form of leadership. Okay, and in some instances that works. That doesn't work for everybody. But I just want to come on and say that, yeah, brotherhood, that means a lot. That's a huge part of athletics. It's a huge part of you guys mentioned red pill spaces earlier. Uh, a lot of people are mistrusting of online spaces for men.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I kind of, in my journey, I kind of wonder now if excuse me, if some conversations should not be public, because I'm wondering, I'm thinking not everything is for everybody to hear.
Right. Yeah.
And right now we are, um, right now there is an attempt at censorship. Okay. And I'll just say that there is a mistrust of the online spaces for men. Um, Even though you might not understand it, but these online spaces are fulfilling needs, whether it's learning information that you weren't taught at home, or learning effective information versus the ineffective information you were
Right.
taught at home about male-female relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some guys are here for camaraderie,
Yeah.
okay, to talk to other guys who have gone through the same things, or who have gone through similar things. So I know that to some people, to women, some women in particular, to more blue pill guys, a lot of these spaces look toxic, but there's a reason for everything, and there's a reason why people gather in certain spaces. And I would challenge critics of these spaces to go back and ask the question, why are men gathered? What are they talking about? Why are they talking about what they're talking about? Is there some validity to what they're talking about? And yeah, brotherhood is important. Brotherhood matters. I think I'll land my plane there.
Let me jump in here real quick and follow up with what Dr. Dunbar just said. There's a movie called The Red Pill by Cassie J. I want you all who have an unfavorable opinion, view, or outlook of red pill and male spaces to go see that movie. There's also a panel discussion with her, Karen Strong, and Paul Elam that I'm going to check out myself. I will also advise people to check that out, because, like Dr. Dunbar said, nobody ever asks the why. It's like when the kid goes to school and he or she's had a bad day, most parents ask the kid what happened. The kid may not open up at first. Then after repeated, prodding, the kid opens up. Well, I'm getting bullied. So, and I saw this clip and it was kind of funny. And I'll preface the joke by saying the girl was always getting beat up by the bully. So the bully had took the girl's glasses one day and drew tic-tac-toe symbols on them. She was sitting at home, and her mother asked, "What happened to your glasses? Where your glasses at?" She wouldn't answer. Father got her, took her to the room, and put a good old-fashioned spanking on her. Said, "Now you gonna tell me what happened to his glasses?" She told her. She said, "Look, that's what I want you to do." Took the old air dummy we had that had sand at the bottom. You can hit it and bounce back up. Said, "I want you to hit that." Keep hitting it. So when you get to school tomorrow, I want you to call that girl out in front of the class, and that's what you do to her. I'm gonna take tomorrow off, and when they call, because they're gonna call, I'm gonna appear to school, and this is how we're gonna handle it. Sure enough, she beats the girl down. Father gets a call, comes in there, the mother sitting there with her daughter. The mother hops up. He said, "Listen, you better sit your ass down before I call my wife and have her come whoop your ass." Nobody ever wants to ask the why things happen. They always are looking at the after effects. People need to realize that the manosphere, whether you're looking at the black manosphere or the white manosphere, shout out to Rollo Tomasi, who are reacting to the environment saying, look, we have a lot of men who don't know what to do. They're at wits end. They're not getting any assistance from anybody else. So they are turning to places that are giving them an option. Now, women may not like the options, but guess what, women? You don't have a choice. The choices that you have made have led to this condition. And this is what men are doing. So when we talk about the brotherhood, this is what we're talking about. This is another extension of that. And I want to get back to the Keith story. For those of you who are familiar with varsity athletics, sophomores never played varsity unless you were just that goddamn good. There's only two people I know that came up to play varsity football. One was my man Sheeno Ellis, played running back, and the other, Keith. Now, Keith, myself, and Sheeno, we all played on that late cell team, that 1990-91 varsity team. We weren't slated to do anything. Matter of fact, the preseason said, look, these boys be lucky if they win the game. Keith came up from JV, started defensive tackle, and was our kickoff specialist. I credit him, and some people might argue, with us being as good as we were because we were thin up front. And when I say thin up front, I mean our offensive defensive lines were thin. You know, we were going against powerhouses like NT, who starting lines with 225, 230. We couldn't hold up against that at 185. Them boys would just run roughshod over us, whether they was passing or running. Keith helped to solidify that, and not to mention his kickoffs was stellar. So, like Dr. Dunbar said, a lot of this comes through athletics. You know, people are always boo-hooing athletics. They don't see the need for it. They think too much money is wasted on it. I'm like, you guys just don't have a clue about the extension and the outlet that athletics provides for young men. It builds camaraderie, it builds leadership, and it also gives them a glue to which to bond to other boys their age, regardless of your ethnicity. Because like Dr. Dunbar said, you know, when you get, and especially in Niagara Falls, and he mentioned it playing a role. When we play pickup basketball, if you want to score, that's what you didn't do. You didn't shoot. You weren't trying to shoot because you knew you couldn't score like that. Especially for a person like me. I didn't start playing basketball until I was 14, 15. I could play defense. I could jump high, block shots and get steals, get a ball up. I can't score like that. And I played with Modi. I played with them cats. I remember, man, listen, another quick story. We were going out to Rochester to play basketball. Listen, Modi hit the court, whole nother gear, whole nother Modi. And I remember these games. I was like, yo, I can't play like that. And Modi was fearless. I mean, fearless. Fearless. So, you know, and that trickles down because, you know, when and Fat Jack was younger than we are. Fat Jack, I'm 52. Fat Jack, I think, is in his mid 40s now, early to mid 40s. Who do you think he was playing against at 13th Street? We talk about Paul Harris. Who do you think they watched growing up?
Well, which brings me. I mean, Fat Jack had made a shout out to Keith, was saying he was uh, he was someone that he looked up to. He
Hmm.
thought Keith was one of the best players around during that time. So that's what we talk about, the elevation of how somebody who may be only 2 or 3 years older than you think the world of them. They help you grow. And I got multiple stories about that, but one of the ones when you met your Bodie, I always want to go back. And it's like self reflection for me because we were on our way to Glen Falls, and we had one of the Greyhound buses, so we had plenty of room that we all can have our own like space. And uh, Hoink Ernie, our defensive stopper, who was my best friend at the time, we wasn't sitting together. We was near each other, but when we got on the bus, Modi he was sitting next to me. First, I didn't think nothing of it. Back in the days, we had Walkman, so had my Walkman
Yeah.
in my ear, listening to the Quiet Storm, just enjoying the ride. Then we had made a stop, and we got off, and I'm thinking like, okay, he goes sit somewhere else. Modi got back in the seat next to me, and so anybody know Hoink? No, he was the jokester, one of the all-time greatest jokesters around, and he was like, excuse my language, he's like, damn, y'all two fucking, and so I kind of got under his influence and like, yo, dude, why you keep sitting next to me? Um, but then at one point when he didn't move, I thought about it. I said, man, this guy looks up to, he's in the ninth grade. We're in the 12th.
Right. Yeah.
He just wanted to
Yeah.
sit next to me. He just wanted to, he thinks I'm cool or just chill. And that was that. But I was like, I was about to turn on him, and then I had to reflect and say, hey, he looks up to me. Uh, and I wasn't the greatest ball player, but maybe like the way I carried myself. Or so he probably was one of the ones who said when we had that reunion game, David should be the coach. And so Modi, I know you ain't listening, but hopefully we'll chop it up at my sister's party. I'm sure you'll be around.
Yeah, he was back in the
We'll
city.
talk about it. Huh?
He's back in Niagara Falls now.
Okay. Well,
He was in Buffalo for a short.
Well,
That's a good
well, well,
thing.
well, hold on, David. We'll see that later on. That's when he kept Eric Gore up all night playing dice, right?
Oh yeah. That was another thing. Yeah, that was another thing. That
Almost lost you on the title.
no, the camaraderie we had our crew in one room. So it
Yeah.
was Ernie or Hoink, Mike Starks, Frank Starks, Igor, and me. We were all in one room, like the seniors on the team. And so Modi was always crafty and savvy from growing up around the people on the east side. They were playing dice and stuff. So he would win money off like some of the white boys on our team and some of the other guys, and then come back. I guess our room was the big room where when you came and got the money. I don't know. I was just kind of watching, and so Modi would win money off other people. Then we'd hear a little knock at the door. Dun, 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 dun. Who is it? Modi. And then he's like, yo, I'm back. I got some money. So they were up playing dice and cards all night long. I was probably like, y'all need to go to bed. But we stayed up just playing it. When coach found out, he was pissed. He was
Oh, I'm
pissed.
sure.
He
I'm
was
sure
pissed.
he was.
Yeah.
But that's when we won the states. Then we came back to for the federation, and I don't know. I don't think it was as heavy as the states, but we had a good time. We had a great time.
Yeah, when I interviewed Modi, man, we laughed about that because Eric Gore messaged me. He left a comment that day I was gonna interview Modi. He was like, "Yeah, Modi kept me up all night." But before I hop off, I didn't know Keith Muhammad. So can you guys give me a few words on who Keith Muhammad was?
Woo, a few words, man.
Give me the Cliff Notes version, Herb.
Well, you know what? let me do this. I wrote something, and I'll read it for the people. Trees serve a multitude of purposes. Its branches grows in various lengths, widths, which are supported by a trunk from which everything emanates. Its leaves provide shade, clean the air, carbon monoxide, and can be used as an umbrella in light rain. Oak, maple, apple, the number of trees is limited, yet the number of them is endless. Everyone has a unique look that endears you to something or someone. A bird's nest, people seek shade on hot days, so food is harvested from them. People are very much like trees. We start out as seeds, incubated in the earth until we grow and become strong enough, worthy and desirable enough for others to want to be around. Trees weather storms, droughts, floods, just as people. Those events, while catastrophic, builds each other into the individuals that others want to use. Use you for laughs, road trips, sports, talks about fatherhood, or just to kick it with. The list is endless. Whatever happens when this tree is uprooted, we no longer have that shade to stay cool on hot summer days. The branches kids once swung from or the limbs of the trunks they climbed are gone. We never know when that stump comes or we will be uprooted. The number of rings we gather is finite. The number of trips around the sun will cease, and the best we can do is offer as much shade, laughter, and stories and branches for enjoyment. Do not allow that storm to come without having grown some solid roots. We lost the cedar. This cedar has long, strong, deep roots. Even felled, this tree will continue to provide us the things that we did when it was rooted. He serves as a lesson to the kind of tree we all need to be. That's my essence of key.
Okay.
And to add to that, like we said, he was in the athletes. He was a part of the Nation of Islam. He was a strong. He was a soldier. But he, as he got older, he was about the community of Niagara Falls, building up the youth, wanted them to have opportunities, fundraiser, trying to make sure because he had a son, trying to
Mhm.
make sure that he had every opportunity that he had, and for other
Mhm.
young men to have. So he was definitely an olive branch, and he was a trailblazer. Um, at the time, he grew up. He spent some time on North Avenue. They lived on the east side, in the also the Griffith Manor. So he was well versed. He knew a
Yeah.
lot of people, and he um, he held his own, whatever, in any type of forum. Went on probably I think at Buff State to be the Black
Oh yeah,
Student Union
definitely. Yes.
president
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So he was a leader. He was a leader, definitely. He was younger than me, so he's like a little brother to me because he hung with my brothers Carlos and Dietrich. And uh, but they always had just being around them. They had interesting dynamics. How they all used to go back and forth. And I know that my brother Carlos and Dietrich, they probably tore up inside behind that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And you know, in my own way, and I may cope differently. It hurts me too to know that he's not going to be around because, like I said, whether I have told him, and I think they are invincible, that they can conquer it all with their faith and all that. And it's just sad to see him go, whatever. But the memories and it will always be there forever. So
Okay.
Yeah. It's
that
yeah.
sums it up.
That's like like I
Ask
said,
Modi and
this.
Carlos about him. That he was close to them. Carlos, he was like Carlos, a close friend of Carlos too.
Okay. Okay.
He
Well, thanks,
was.
fellas. I'm gonna go ahead and hop down.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
All
her.
right.
Okay.
I'm listening to this one
No,
last
I
piece.
was gonna
Go ahead.
say because I have my younger brother. I already know how he's taking this. I didn't have. I just didn't have it in me to tell him. I don't know how he found out, and I'm sure he's found out by now. And my brother's in Columbus now, and I'm sure that um, however he's dealing with it is not good. I mean, I don't. There's nothing that I can say to him that's going to help him. I mean, like I said, we've had a mother that died 4 years ago, sister last year. This is this is different. Like I said at the beginning of the show, everything opens a different door to us. Some lead to a room that's well furnished, some lead to a room that's sparsely furnished, some lead to a room that's well maintained. But what do you do when the person you always occupied that room is no longer in that room? And this is what we have. It's difficult. And then I thought about it. I said, this man had a dwelling, that he occupied. What happens when his family members have to go clean that dwelling out? That cannot be easy. I mean, I didn't have to do it for my mother per se, because she was living with our younger sister. When she transitioned, she was married, so her husband so occupies the place that they were in. So I can't imagine, what any of this is like. I mean, we're all going to have to go through this. So we're all going to, um, like I said in the poem, we're all going to be a felled tree.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you guys ever saw The Green Mile with Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
But the older version of his character, one of the most powerful things they said in that movie was, "We all owe a debt." We all owe a debt. He was able to put it off. The mouse was allowed him to put it off in the movie, but yeah, that's something. That's the transition we're all gonna have to make. And what's interesting, Herb, you just said that, is that um, in today's climate, a lot of families are gonna have to do that. They're gonna have to go into someone's dwelling, because so many people are living alone and unpaired these days. I mean, I don't think they'll mind me saying it, but the Gaines twins, one of them passed away at the beginning of
Yeah.
this year, and they had to do that because Raheem lived alone, and they had to go. They found him there,
Mm.
um, and they had to go through his things, clean out his things. So yeah, and I live alone right now. So I told my family, look, if you guys lose contact with me, my neighbor downstairs, they have my key. I mean, I hope that doesn't happen, but when you live alone,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah,
that's
because I'm alone
part
in
of
this
it.
house, just me and my cat. So yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah,
I know one of my brothers has a key, so that eventuality, as much as we might want to run from it, might want to hide from it, is something we need to be cognizant of. It's not to say that it's going to happen anytime soon, but you know, when the sickle drops, it drops. Hey, it's
yeah,
nothing you can do other than be prepared in some way, shape, or form. So that's another reason why you know the brotherhood becomes important. And it's not just to check up on you when you might be bad. It's to ensure that you're always doing as well as you possibly can. That's why I talked about, men get together, Super Bowl, boxing, David's one of David's favorite things, NBA finals. Yo, where you watching game 6 at? Where you watching this at? What you doing here? And let's get together. I'm coming to town. Matter of fact, when I was in New York City this past May, I hadn't seen my man in about 6, 7, 8 years. We got down there, we had brunch, him, the person I went with, and his wife. And I always talk about that year at Buff State when I just hung out on campus. I built another branch in the camaraderie. Shout out to Jamel Cruz, who didn't have a problem. He came from, I think Jamel's from the Bronx, either Bronx or Brooklyn. And I hung out there all year. I have people who I'm cool with that I didn't go to school with at that particular time. And they knew, yo, could somebody go downstairs and sign Herbin? He's waiting at the front desk. Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. All I know is like, as me and Hoink, the last time we had a conversation, like on the phone, we talked for 4 hours on the Saturday.
Yeah.
4 hours.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, like I got stuff to do, but you couldn't end because the memories, the laughter, reminiscing. And I'm like, dude, we've been on the phone for like 4 freaking hours
wow,
straight,
yeah, yeah,
4 straight hours, a marathon. but
Yeah.
and it's real, and 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 I know that, like, for Carlos, brother Carlos and Dietrich, the memories that they have with Keith is far more extended than mine, because like I said, I was like the bigger brother, and I know they've had some battles that they extended and I was a part of it, and I would just kind of like, I'm out, hands around, I'm off limit, I don't have nothing to add to it, and they would just go back and forth, but it was always love at the end of the day, and that's what it's all about. So it's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's hard, it's tough, and I mean, the only thing that keeps us going is each of us are have busy lives. If we were
Mhm.
someone that's sitting around unemployed or underemployed, probably would hit you different. But when you have responsibilities and things going on, you have no choice but to keep marching and moving forward. And that would be my thing to everybody. You always got to be occupied with something because it balances off everything. When you don't have
Yeah.
shit going on, excuse my language, you don't have shit going on, you're in a sinking ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in a
Yeah.
That's so
sinking
true.
ship.
That's so true.
And that's the thing about balance and having stuff to go on to kind of offset that. So we're
Yeah.
all going to be fine. We're all going to battle through this. But damn, man, you just not Keith. We didn't. I think my cousin Ron said that. Like, oh hell no. Like when he seen it, like hell no. Like he ain't. He's not. He didn't pass because you just didn't believe. You thought the brothers from the nation, they were invincible. That it wouldn't happen, because look at their fierce leader now, Farrakhan. What is he, about 90? Still
Yeah,
doing
man. Still
public
going
speaking
strong. Yeah.
and still
Yeah.
trooping and all that stuff. That's what you just believe in. We all got to have some type of superheroes that we believe in, that we can touch and feel. And they were, I never told them that, but I believe in them as being heroes and with great strength and power, that they could overcome anything.
Yeah. Well, all right, gentlemen, I'm gonna jump down.
All right,
I'll
man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming through.
you have a good
Yeah.
night.
Always,
All right,
man.
you too.
All right, peace.
Same here, guys. I got to call it a night. I got to get up
Okay, guys.
early. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah,
Thanks for
man. We
your
appreciate
insight.
you dropping in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
And I,
This is you know, this is just different. It really is, man. Like I said, you open up that door to that room and that individual is no longer there. And um I don't know, I can't quantify this. I really can't, you know. Um you see all the tributes, and I think, in at least for me, it it puts a cap on our humanity, just like you were saying. Um, not no, not the brothers, not from the nation. Them cats are stalwarts, and it just reinforces the notion that, hey, look, we're human. We are human. We are made of flesh, blood, neurons, and eventually that day comes. That's why I said, you know, make them roots, because that's at the end. That's all we really can do. We can positively impact where we are, or we can negatively impact where we are, or some of us just can do absolutely nothing. So be a positive influence, be a positive impact. You know, that's what I've tried to do for the last 10 years. Yeah, 2011. Yeah, about the last 10, 12 years, 13 years. So I'm not in the community in terms of my visual presence like I once was. I said I give the political thing a try. I said for 10 years. And then I got to focus on getting myself right. I got to start setting myself up for retirement. Hopefully I make it that far, and you know, have some years beyond that to do some things that are just truly for me. I don't necessarily have to work for anybody, but if I do, it's what it is. I can't cry about it. All I can do is keep moving forward.
and I think Also, the bigger thing is, and probably I missed the boat on that, is being able to communicate what we feel when someone's alive, and we do a poor job of it. You see the testimonies flowing through, and people say what they meant, but that person never heard you say that. And I probably missed the boat on that. Um, and I think I would have to challenge myself from here on out. Is, I don't know. It may not be a phone call. It may be a text. It may be something. Just letting people know how much you appreciate them and the things that they're doing. We shouldn't have to wait till somebody's gone. And I think we do a poor job of that, of giving flowers, but we're always giving flowers when that person's gone. And I always used to, when I was growing up, I was like, you know, I was like, I would love to be able to, and it might be a sick thought or whatever, but I always thought as I was growing up, like when I would think about mortality and death, like if you could just open your eyes just to see who's at your funeral or who showed up. But bigger than that, we have to let people know their value, when they're alive. We live in a toxic society and culture, that copycat society, that people just don't want to do that. They don't want to do that, and I don't know how we could change the tide, but we could change the tide. But you just have to get more people on board. That you have to have people. You have to acknowledge people's value and what they mean to you. And I think we do a poor job of that. And it got to get better. It just got to get better. And it don't. It doesn't have to be. Face it. We have so many forms of communication now. Shit, FaceTime, emails, text messages, or something. You have ways to communicate to people, that we have to let people know how we appreciate them. Now, this is coming from the jerk of all jerks, and I'm a jerk. My family recognizes me as a jerk, but they know I got a good heart. My heart is in the right place, but I ain't help it. It's in my DNA. Some of it's from my father, whatever. But we have to do a better job. Nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
Nothing. That phone call early in the morning, that unusual phone call, it's never good. It's never good, especially when it's around 7 in the morning, uh, 6 in the morning. It's never good. And for me, I look at it, I like, man, it's scary. When I see a phone call like that, you scared to call back
Yeah.
because you already know.
Yeah.
I remember when my grandmother, she didn't she didn't die at that instance, but I remember how, the phone numbers could come across your TV screen, and I was getting ready to go to work, and my mother had called. And then when I think I got in the car and called her, she told me that she probably is not going to live much longer. She might not make it through the day. And then I think that night she ended up dying. And I was like, damn. So it's just, you have to do what you can when you're alive. And I ain't talking about no fake ass love. I'm talking about real, genuine love, that because a lot of people just do, they just follow the trends, and somebody die, rest in peace, this and that, and then they saying other stuff. People that you genuinely care about, you have to find a way to show them and express your love, because we're all on the clock. Uh, and I realized that, and I was just talking to one of my buddies, Kai Hill, and when he found out, he's like, damn, he hit me up like, damn, Keith died. And he knew Keith through us, but he was like, wow. He's like, yo, man, this mortality thing, this shit is real, man. Once we get in late 40s and 50s, it is. That phone call could be me tomorrow. It could be any of us. And we can say, "Ah, damn, I just was talking to them."
Yeah.
And that's
Yep.
and that's the scary thing about it all. So I don't know. I mean, maybe this could be. It'll never be a blessing or whatever because I would want Keith to be around. I want him to be around, but I understand uh like certain health issues, diabetes is like shit. That's a mean thing there
Hmm.
with us black people. That's the thing, and it's serious. It's scary, and I don't know. Don't know, man. We just keep pushing forward and try to do the best that we can, and just acknowledge the people that mean something to you, and even I don't know. I guess no, I ain't gonna say talk too much and say like just be kind because I'm not like that. I don't go overboard with people like I don't know whatever. You got to I'm like an onion. You got to peel the layers off. For me, with even people like, well, how you a counselor? Because you know what, with kids, it's just different.
Yeah.
And even with some of them, they got to peel the layers off. But
Yeah.
then once they know, like, yo, he's a good guy, and they could just feel it. But it's hard. So that's just my spill. I'm gonna pass the mic on, and I'll come back with something else.
No, I don't have much to add out, outside of, what I said earlier, and I'll reiterate, build your build your brotherhood, whether that's communally or individually. Make sure you have people that you can turn to when it gets rough, whether there be uh, blood relatives, co-workers, friends, somebody. It doesn't really matter at this juncture. Like David said, there's a plethora of ways to reach out and to be reached out to. Utilize them. Don't go into a room, lock yourself in there, and believe that you're not, or that you are beyond help. There are people out there literally who probably are in the same situation you are. And we talk about echo chambers, but when you need help, you're not in an echo chamber. You wear somebody else's your crutch. You see it in 12 step and NA. They have sponsors, and those sponsors are people who've been where they are, who say, "Hey, look, I'm only a phone call away. What you need? Let me come through." So don't wall yourself off. So I like to say, are you putting a brick in the conversation, in the wall of conversation, or are you taking one out? Keep taking those bricks out to where the free flow of help, the free flow of information is always there. Because as long as you have an open avenue of communication, you always give yourself the opportunity to be helped. And that's all you can do. You can't make anyone help you. You can't force anyone to allow them to help you. The only thing you can do is keep the avenues of communication open.
Yeah, and that's true. And we have to march forward and push forward. And but one of the things, my brothers, Carlos and them always say, like, you know, it's not a downtime, it's a festive time. We want to celebrate somebody's life. And, I try to grasp parts of that to say, that's the only way you can push forward. But like I said earlier, it's being occupied with stuff. If you're not occupied with anything, then again, you're on a sinking ship. So you have to bet, and that's why you have people that succumb to alcohol,
Mhm,
drugs,
mhm.
and they do it all day, every opportunity they could get, and they do it, and then sooner or later, they're in the same boat. But we're all going to be impacted by certain things, and And that was one of the things that after that whole COVID thing, when you were seeing people like, damn, they died,
Yeah.
he died, she died, and I said, because, and I'm gonna shout her again, my sister, she may throw things, but also I think what she does, and I don't know if that's her intention, she brings our family together from all over. So when she says she's celebrating her birthday for the whole month of September, it ain't a damn minute that she ain't celebrating. So before, I didn't always make her functions. I said, hey, it's like the second week of school. I can't miss work. But then after that COVID thing, things hit like, damn, life is short. If someone can bring other people you haven't seen for a while together, then I'm there. So ever since then, I've been there. And she about to have her 50th. So y'all know how it's about to go down. Y'all go see the flicks and the videos and all that stuff. But you know what? Keith probably would have been there.
Yeah.
Carlos would have went and got him.
Yeah.
He'd have been there.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I wasn't out of town, boy, because I'll be there at the food table. You already know how. See, this is what we talk about. See, for those of you who, and we probably have to organize one of these too. I don't know if it's gonna be next year, but the whole sip and dip thing, man. We need, and honestly, we probably need to do one of these Monday night things, tape record it and just broadcast it, man, because it would be nice to get at least some of us together, some of the people who are in the council's corner, the group, as well as some of the subs, and just sit there and bring out about 3 or 4 topics and having literally a live discussion where the interactions are real time, and it might have to be edited or whatever the case is. But I think those are always when you get the best of people, because a lot of people, they'll say, well, nah, it's too late, or I don't want my advertise. We get a million one excuses for why people don't want to appear. And I'm not the best looking guy right now, but I don't come on here to advertise myself as the best looking guy. My physical appearance, really, the couch leaning up against the wall. Most people would do that, but you know what? I don't give a fuck. I'm the big bad wolf. Trust me, my house is in complete disarray. But you know what? Don't care. You know why? Because I got a house, and I'm doing better than most people. So I always, I used to be a pessimist earlier in life, but now I'm the eternal. I can't even speak. The eternal optimist. So I, my cat no longer climbs it. Had to put him down a few months ago. But hey, I got to keep moving forward. I can't stay stuck. I got the Speaking of which, I'm gonna get the book done too. I got things to do. I got deadlines to meet. I got people who I haven't met that I need to meet. Um, had I planned better, I'd actually be down in Cleveland. I'd have been in Cleveland this coming week to see my Cowboys play, but I didn't look at the schedule, so that's kind of messed up. But y'all know how it is with football season. It's coming up. Baseball season coming down to crunch time. I believe the Yankees were still in first place. They were doing it out with Baltimore, I believe. So, I mean, there's always something to look forward to. But like David said, and I concur. This one, yeah, it's gonna take some adjusting. It's gonna take some time to just really completely and fully acknowledge the loss, you know, that we've sustained. And you know, it is what it is, man. We can't change it. We can't make it what it ain't. So, we got to keep moving forward. And we're gonna do that with his memory. We that's all. I mean, I really I really don't know what else to say, man.
Yeah, and for me, and I wrote their names down, and I think about even when you transition somewhere to another. Saying we'll get ready to close it out, but I remember when I first moved to Baltimore. Uh, you know, it was a point that my brother Carlos and Dietrich was down here. I never really wanted to move because I said I can do all of this in Niagara Falls. I, why? Once I got my counseling degree, it should have been I should have been locked in. But the game of politics, and I wasn't willing to play those game of politics because I played those games at 10 years at Bryan and Stratton, where I probably should have been a dean of student services for all the time I put in. Once I got my degree, I said it's time to I'm about to be out. And what people don't understand is a lot of times when you relocate somewhere, grown people get homesick too. And they can't make it where they're at because they're homesick.
Hmm.
And they find every excuse not to make it to come back. And, I didn't have no brotherhood down here other than my brothers. But in the workplace, I'm like, and I have to give them a shout out. And I remember, which was crazy, we had teacher orientation for the first week that we met up at. I had to go to the White Marsh Mall, get on the bus, and they satellite us to Perry Hall High School. So when I got off the bus, I'm like thinking like when I was riding the bus, I was like, what the hell I got myself into? So then I get on this all all this movement. I get off the bus. We had our and we had we got it registered, had our name tags, and I ran into probably one of my we don't talk often, but when we talk, we could talk for an hour. We talk sports and all that. My a shout out to my man Kevin Kev. Um, Down here, we worked at Newtown High School, so we came across each other. He had his tag on, and it said Newtown, and I had my tag on. Then he was like, "Oh, like, oh, what you doing?" And I was like, "I'm a counselor." He's like, "Word, a counselor?" And he's like, "Damn, a black dude, male counselor." And then he's like, "He's a science teacher." And then we connected with sports, and shit. Here it is, 20 years later. We still chop it up. We still connect. We don't get together often, but we'll hang out, go out, have something to eat,
Hmm.
and our brotherhood is solidified forever. And I take some of his quotes, he takes some of my quotes, and we build on that. And then, I go to Golden Ring with my man J Rob. He sometimes he'll pop in and out on here. And what's funny about our stuff, I got hired, but then they had like a leadership retreat. And I remember, they say one of my old coworkers, my mother coworkers, Lenny said my mother retired more than Michael Jordan because she retired then came back, but she was having a retirement party. So I had told Golden Ring Middle like my mother is having a retirement party, so I can't come to that retreat to this date because they were going to Hilton Head, South Carolina. So I went to the retirement party. Then they booked a flight for me to go to Hilton Head. So I go there. Me and J Rob, we never said a word to each other. Imagine that two black brothers on a leadership team never said a word to each other. Not one word. Not one word. So you have to understand, like brotherhood just is not automatically established. You have it's camaraderie, it's common themes or whatever. And how me and him started talking is we had to go around. when we got back to the school and we had a leadership meeting, and they had mentioned, asked something like, what is something your favorite pastime to do? And I said, watching boxing. Like it's nothing better on a Saturday night when it's a boxing match. His antennas went up like, damn, oh, dude, you like boxing? And we've been connected for 11 years, going on 12 years, to Golden Ring and to the new Nottingham Middle School. But it was interesting that we never said a word. I mean, we even give each other the head nod. Like, what's up? It was crazy. But now he's in my office. I haven't even made it to his new classroom, but I would pop up in this office and we talk boxing and all that stuff. But we got a brotherhood for life now. But it's just interesting how things happen. And like Herb said, we don't always talk off camera and all that. But when I'm in town and it's a major function, Herb tell you I always invite, like, yo, come through,
Absolutely.
pull up,
Yep.
pull up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know he's going to get a chance to see other people that he probably didn't connect with, and that's how it's done. You only want to bring people around that you have positive energy with. A lot of y'all
Yeah.
just want shit for show. And that's how stuff end up in the downfall. Hey, how you doing, Carolyn? Thanks for joining us. But yeah, we always try to have want to leave on a good note and have um and I definitely look forward to my sister's 50th because whether I tell her or not, she's a trailblazer. I already passed the matriarch to her and my cousin D that they're the ones that got to keep the family together. I know my mother like, oh, wait a minute, but you just past your time. So we have to move to the move to the next generation. And I think my sister has done a absolute great job, her and D. And I had passed the torch that she's the fist of the family now. Simple as that. So, and for some people, they don't recognize that, and they say, "Man, y'all be hard, y'all crack jokes, y'all get on each other." But man, like y'all family is love, and
Yeah.
and if you can't, maybe if you can't establish that, you can establish that, but you probably got to recognize somebody for being who they are. There's leadership
Yeah.
in families. Yeah, I do know that, right? There's leadership, and it doesn't always have to be the oldest person. It could be the most sound-minded person that, like, yo, that's the person we go to when it's time to plan events and all this stuff. And I'm not going to be remiss to give a shout out to Cinda, my cousin Cinda, when we just had the family function in South Carolina. The stuff that you learn from your family history blows your mind. You like, wow, like this is why. I learned a little bit from my grandmother when I had to do a genogram in my master's program to find out my family history. But my cousin Cinda put a lot of pieces together, and I'm like, and me and Ron was floored, like, yo, for real, like overwhelmed, like this shit crazy. Our people went through a lot
Mm-hmm.
to get us here, through a lot, and a lot of people, and some of us just don't have no respect for that. I always
Yeah.
had respect for what my grandmother, my elderly people said. I always had respect for that because they went through a lot to get us in the position that we're in. Younger generation people, and I know many of you not watching, but if you got somebody to tell you that message, y'all better wake up.
Mm-hmm.
I better wake up.
Yep.
This is a cruel world. Don't ever turn on your back on people that the hand that feeds you. And a lot of y'all, many of y'all do that, and I have no understanding of that. I've been babbling on for a while. You know, I don't like to talk a
Nah,
lot
man.
straight,
Hey.
but it's real.
I mean, it is what it is, man. I mean, you know, uh, and I've said it once before. I'll say it again. This is therapeutic. Say what you want, feel how you want, but this is therapeutic. And women are consistently and always outspoken about how men don't share their feelings. And Dr. Dunbar said it, I said it, I'll reiterate it. Women don't understand how men bond. What did Dr. Dunbar say? You went to a function and all, or did you say, David, you went to a function and all the women were in the corner and the men were just chilling?
Yeah, Dr. Dunbar said it.
Yeah. I mean, that's in order for, and I'll say this, I'll close with this. In order for women, speaking specifically to you all, in order for you to understand how men function, the first thing you need to do is close your mouth. And I know how harsh that sounds, but close your mouth. Second, sit back and observe with a writing utensil, or if you want to use a cell phone, and paper or notepad. And any questions that you have, ask. And when you receive the information, don't try to say what men should do. Because once you do that, you lose the essence of what you're trying to understand. It's the same way for men. Men will say, well, why do y'all do this and why do y'all do that? I don't do that. And I've said this once before, and I said it among a group of women. I caught a whole lot of flack, and I'm going to say it here, and I know I'm going to catch some flack if Dave decides to clip this or whatever the case is.
Don't know what I'm on clip.
I've said I know enough about women to where I don't need to know anything else. And you don't know everything about. I said I didn't say everything. I said enough, and that's what you women have to do. You have to get to a point where you know enough about men that you understand how they function, not why. Forget about the why, because there are some whys that you are never going to be able to answer. Just get the understanding, and when you do that, you'll be a lot better off. And that's my closing. That's my closing statement. As always, growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time. And remember, take bricks out of the wall. Don't put them in. Let the dialogue flow.
All right, appreciate that. My closing comments. I really didn't have one, but when I think about Brother Keith, you think about leadership. You think about bravery. Again, trailblazer, innovative, and you think about somebody wanting better. If you don't fall into any of those categories and you got a lot of malice in your heart and you don't mean to do people well, I don't even know what to tell you. I don't want to even sound mean or whatever the case is. What's your point? Because the ultimate goal is providing, the ultimate goal is to provide service to people. That's the ultimate goal, to provide service to others, to help them get to wherever they're going at any level. When you think of service, I think of the things that Keith stood for. Again, I said it in my promo. It ain't like we ain't bump heads. It ain't like he ain't get on my nerves. But that's all good. Because you know what? If somebody get on your nerves and y'all bump heads, you got love for them.
Mm-hmm.
People who don't mean nothing to you, it's easy to dismiss them and say, well, shit, we ain't got nothing in common. We ain't got nothing to talk about. And they don't have no impact. He impacted my life. He impacted many people's lives. We all we could do is push forward, keep growing, and take the chance for certain opportunities to connect. We often say Now I give women credit for this when they say they want to have like a women's vacay or girls thing. They typically make it happen. Guys, we talk about it, but we don't always do. We have to come together, especially when it's true brotherhood and people that you miss, you love, you value. When it's an opportunity to come together, we need to come together because, again, we always say life is short, and you don't want to come together on a mishap. We need to try to find times to come together when we at a high plateau instead of always at a low plateau. So, with that said, we gonna keep rising. Shout out to and much love to brother Keith. Staying right, but Omega, Chris, keep rolling. I see you doing big things. I'm watching you. We need to have a conversation because the things that you doing, I want to do. I want to be free. I just want to roll around in a vehicle and be free and make money and be free. So I'm watching you. Yeah. I know you probably had your obstacles, but you bounced back because, like I said, remember the one word I said? I believe y'all brothers could be invincible and can always bounce back. You bounce back. Yeah, that's a great thing. Yeah, for I think his son Hanif, his daughter. I know y'all gonna surround love for them to keep going, especially his son, because it seemed like he was headed to be a beast, a big young man filling out, getting dominate like his father and his uncle. So I know things gonna be put in place for him, and it's just unfortunate, but we'll survive it. We just got to stay together. Anything that I could do or you need, uh, feel free to reach out. Uh, we'll try to make it happen. So, with that said, man, it's always love. We always got to have love at the end of the day, no matter what the situation is. Especially people that you're close to, we always gotta. It always got to be about love at the end of the day. Yeah, that's all. That's all I have for now. We out. On to the next one. I'm about to deal with an interesting week 2 of the school year, so it's probably going to be probably worse than week 1, but I'm for it because I'm for it. And nothing going to derail. After this loss, that stuff is minute to handle than something as bigger than this. So all right, good people. We out. Appreciate everybody
Y'all
who
take care, man.
joined in. Stay tuned for the clips and all that stuff. Please comment, like, and share. Please subscribe because we're gonna hit that 1,000. And like Dr. Anwar said, this shit is hard work, and people don't know it. They don't know it. To get to 900 something, the ultimate goal is to get over 1,000. We built this from ground up. All this shit is real. It ain't organic. You buy subscribers. We put in work, and how you get subscribers. Shit, I picked up a few, like I said, the clip from Herb and all that stuff. Uh, that carries a lot of weight. It just be certain things that people you say, and people tune in and trigger, then they subscribe. So we putting out the content, we trying to put out the work, and we gonna hit 1,000. Then we gonna do other things. We ain't over with. Yeah, y'all will start seeing graphics and all that stuff on our page. We just ordinary. Less is
Yep.
more. But y'all start seeing more as it pick up because we about to be a force. And that's
Yep.
all I could say. All right, good
All
people.
right, good
We out.
people. Y'all
Everybody be
right.
safe. Love
Take
y'all
care of
all.
each other,
And be
man.
good.
All right.
All right, peace.